Sparking Zero just released a patch that is nearly perfect. They hit absolutely every issue, showing that they not only understand their game really well, they're also actually listening to community feedback. This patch fixed the game. And also made DP battles unplayable. Yep, there's currently a bug in DP battles where if you switch characters or transform in the final 60 seconds of the game, your character just goes back to full health. Yajirobe did not die for this. Now, this is a very serious issue that makes DP battles kind of unplayable, but because it's that bad, I fully expect them to push a bug fix soon. I have reported this, everyone and their mom has tweeted about it, so I'm sure they have seen it at this point. But today, there are plenty of reasons to celebrate because this is one of the best patches that I have seen any anime game get. And a lot of their changes you won't even find in the patch notes. And so today, I want to take you through the patch highlights. I want to talk about the big issues, the big changes, the big misses, and the quality of life stuff. But for the full patch notes, please check the official website. Before the patch was even announced, I think we nailed the Sparking Zero problems that we're calling the big issues. What was ruining the game was elevator gameplay, key blast loops, key blast spam or sparking mode in general, super counters and Vanish Wars by extension, and sword users being able to dodge out of Vanish Wars. They hit every single one of those points, and not always in the way you would expect. So let's start from the top. I was hoping they would make it easier to catch players doing the elevator attack, just flying up and down. Instead, they just targeted the two characters that were able to do it for an infinite amount of time. So Android 19 and Dr. Gero now spend ki while flying up and down. Thanks to this change, no character can play elevator forever. However, you can still use this tech to stall with any character as long as you have ki. So for instance, if your opponent is in sparking mode and you have some ki in you, you can stall until their sparking mode runs out. I think that's still pretty lame, but hey, at least you can't do it forever now. Ki blast loops are gone, plain and simple. This was the most effective way to deal damage as it was the only true combo in the game. Everything else is either vanishable or you can super counter it, and so the devs decided to delete it. So it will be interesting to see what the combo game looks like from now on. There might be some new way to ki blast loop, but we'll see. The tech is developing right now. Sparking mode got touched in two different ways. One was ki blast spam. You can still spam ki blasts, but the character that had the infinite spam now have a gap, meaning that every character has a gap. So if you get hit, just know that after a few ki blasts, you can block or reflect. And during sparking, rush attacks now have combo scaling. They deal less damage the longer you attack. And you can feel this, it is significant. Also worth mentioning, you'll probably see less sparking mode activations now, as all instant spark abilities cost 4 skill points instead of just 3. So I'm guessing charging up manually will be a lot more common now. And before we talk about Vanish Wars, I do want to touch on Afterimage Strike. After all, the main way of countering this was with ki blast spam and loops, and they just removed those, making Afterimage Strike extremely powerful. Well, it's a good thing they also nerfed it. It now only lasts 10 seconds instead of 15, and it is immediately deleted if you counter any attacks with perception. So, you can't attack your opponent, but neither can they. Alright, so, Vanish Wars. They completely reworked them. First of all, the input window is much shorter, and it gets harder to perform the longer the Vanish War goes. The vanishes get faster and faster, and it also costs more ki per each vanish, so even if your inputs are perfect, the Vanish War won't last forever. And they have also reduced the amount of skill points that you get for each vanish as well. This is exactly what we asked them to do. I'd say maybe the speed up needs to happen sooner. It still feels a bit slow, but it is miles better what it was before. And on the topic of Vanish Wars, sword users now have to play the game. They can't just step out of Vanish Wars. That's right, you can now play Trunks without everyone accusing you of cheesing the game. Trunks mains are eating good, or should I say, drinking good. And just like that, all the big issues have been addressed, but they didn't stop there. So here are the other big changes. Starting with Zebra Stash, which was the move that neutral revolved around. It was all about this move, and now it has been nerfed. It still works the same, but costs 2 ki bars instead of just 1. So the best way to approach the opponent might actually be this new move called the High Speed Dragon Dash. It looks just like a regular Dragon Dash, but it is much faster. You do it by holding down the X button on PlayStation or A on Xbox, and your character will shoot towards your opponent. It's going to be interesting to see how this changes neutral in Sparking Zero. They also hit the Giant's Burst Dash. It is no longer unblockable, which honestly feels a bit unnecessary, since Burst Dash now also costs 2 bars a meter. They could only hit you with this twice, but it's not like anyone's gonna feel bad about the Giants. They may actually be dead in this patch. I also love what they did with character switching. They nerfed the healing that characters get on the bench. This is a big reason why most matches go to timeout in Sparking Zero. You are constantly switching characters and they heal like crazy on the bench. We'll see if this nerf is enough to make these games go faster, but thanks to the current DP battle glitch, we can't really know for sure. However, I am hearing reports that timeouts are now based on damage dealt, not health remaining, which might discourage 5-man teams and might discourage stalling. We'll see. It's still early. Finally, I want to mention Z-Search, which has received a massive improvement. First of all, you no longer lose track of your opponent when characters are swapped. And on top of that, you regain the lock-on faster if you are actually looking at your opponent, which is how it should have worked from the start. So yeah, if you block an ultimate, you will pretty much be locked on immediately after. Fantastic changes so far. This patch is nearly perfect. That said, it does have a couple of misses. The first and biggest one is super counters. I wish they had made these harder to execute, or at least harder to spam. If you didn't know, there's a cooldown that triggers every time you miss a super counter to prevent you from spamming it. Back in Tenkaichi 3, it used to be 1 second long, which is still pretty short in my opinion. In this game, it's 12 frames, meaning you can spam super counter 5 times every second. I don't know why there's even a cooldown. Vanish Wars have been improved, but I feel like we're still gonna get every combo interrupted by a super counter more often than not, which pretty much takes all of these rush combo options away, makes them kind of pointless, and this game loses a lot of its sauce and combo freedom in my opinion. Super counters are still super strong. And in fact, you can super counter a lot easier if your opponent uses a revenge counter. For some reason, you don't have to do the correct input anymore. You can just press any face button and it will come off. Yeah, it's weird. In fact, the second miss on my list is 2 revenge counters. Now, I think revenge counters had their uses in the past, but now that key blasts have been nerfed, they have a lot less uses. To be fair, they did buff the frame data after a revenge counter connects. You go back to neutral, so at least you're not getting punished even though your opponent didn't react. But they also nerfed revenge counters by making perception against them cheaper. So now you only spend 1 skill point when defending against a revenge counter, which makes sense. The 2 points always felt like a waste, but I feel like revenge counter should have been buffed somewhere else to make up for this. An issue that hasn't been fixed yet is inputs randomly dropping. I don't know exactly what causes this, but I've noticed that in some games you're mashing square and your character just stops attacking. The combo drops for no reason. I don't know why, but that is still in the game unfortunately. I've had this happen online and offline against the CPU, and I don't think they have figured it out either. So yeah, it's still there. Last but not least, you can use your skills in small combo gaps. It's kind of annoying to me that even though this looks like a combo and the combo counter considers it a combo, it's super fake because you can just block it. There's an invisible combo gap, and now you can actually use skills in those combo gaps, including stuff like Wild Sense or Afterimage. To me, it doesn't make a lot of sense to give players all of these combo options if you're going to constantly discourage them from using them, whether it is by letting the opponent activate skills or by using super counters to interrupt combos. I think they need to figure out exactly what type of combo game they would like players to use, because right now their decisions are not making a lot of sense. They are contradicting themselves in a way. And the last miss has nothing to do with multiplayer, but with custom battles. They didn't add a search function yet, so you can't look up certain words to find the phrases you're looking for. They did improve navigation by making it alphabetical if you want, so that's a good step forward in my opinion. But if you want to fix this navigation, this isn't enough. You need to be able to search for different words. And those are the misses. Small stuff, honestly, compared to everything they got right, but in my opinion, these are what's keeping this from being a 10 out of 10 perfect patch. Let's wrap this up with some good quality of life changes. The big one is being able to play split screen on all stages. In fact, it's their flagship change in this patch, the one they are advertising the most. I think that's cool, but not something I personally use, so I'm just happy for those that do use it. On the other hand, we all use the character select screen, and that just got revamped too. First of all, you can see the characters' techniques and how much they cost before you select them, which is a nice upgrade if you're looking to learn someone new. And you can also group these characters now in the character select screen, so you won't have 20 Gokus at the top. Instead, it works a little bit more like Tenkaichi used to, where you select the character first and then you select the form that you want to play as. This is completely optional and very easy to toggle on or off. And finally, after you pick your team, you can go into team presets and save that team to be used later. There are only 5 slots for favorite teams, however, but I am sure this will be useful once DP battles are no longer bugged. And finally, this is probably my favorite feature, you can skip intros at the start of battle. If both players hit the skip button, the intros will be skipped. You don't have to watch them 3 times for every set. Thank God. And that is the Sparking Zero patch, but that's not all that happened. I do think I talked about most changes that are not in the patch notes. There are a few extra ones though that you can read for yourself if you want. For instance, Gogeta might be busted now. We'll see. But for more Sparking Zero, check out this video right here. Thanks for watching. Boy.